You see it? Right there. Welcome back to my channel. We have a 2016 Buick Encore in the shop today. It has the 1.4 liter with the turbo. The customer says the heater don't work, the air conditioner don't work. Well, when they pulled in, I seen an antifreeze leak. How's antifreeze gonna keep my AC from working? Well, if the car overheats, it sees that and it tries to protect itself, so it will shut off your AC compressor, and the heat's not working because your antifreeze is leaking out. Holy moly. That thing has got a ton of oil in the spark plug holes. I mean, it is completely full. I'm stuffing paper towels in there to soak up the oil because when I pull the spark plug out, I don't want all that oil getting down the cylinder. Almost forgot, before I get too excited, I'm gonna scan it for codes. That's always the first thing you should do. Scanning the modules. All right, it looks like we got 2 in the ECM. Running lean, and the evap system's flowing. Probably the evap purge valve stuck open. These 2 I am concerned about, but they did say something about every time I get gas and I start it up, it runs rough. That was one of the complaints, so that can definitely do it if your purge valve's stuck open. We'll look at that later. This is a pressurizer. I'm gonna pressurize the system and see if I can get the coolant to leak out to find out where the leak is. Okay, it's putting pressure in the system, and I can see it spraying right there. Okay, it looks like the thermostat housing is leaking. Just to reiterate, the first complaint was no AC, which no antifreeze will cause that, like I explained earlier in the video. The engine will see that there's no antifreeze and the engine's getting hotter than it should, and it will shut down the AC compressor trying to protect it. The other complaint from the customer was no heat. That's a no-brainer. If there's no antifreeze, that's what circulates in the heater core. So there's a couple things going on. I know for sure that there's tons of oil in the spark plug holes. So it's going to need a valve cover gasket. The seals around the spark plug holes where the valve cover gasket should take care of that. It also has a purge valve stuck open. Right here is the purge valve. I'm going to take it off and see if it is stuck wide open. Okay, here is the purge valve. I'm going to show you how this is bad. What a purge valve, all it does is it sucks the fumes from the gas tank back into the intake manifold to be burned. Have you ever seen a gas tank or at the gas station where you've seen fumes coming off and people are pumping gas? Well, they don't want fumes getting into the atmosphere, so that's what this does. It just, when the computer decides to let the fumes out of the gas tank, it pumps them in and they're burned off again. This is where it goes into the intake. It's wide open. It's sucking all the time. It will suck gas up through there when you fill the tank up, and that's one of the complaints. So it needs a purge valve. Okay, so I'm getting ready to call the customer. We need a thermostat housing, we need a valve cover gasket, and we need a purge valve. All right, I'm sitting in my office. I just called the customer and they were really excited to do it all. So I ordered the parts, but we're gonna do it tomorrow morning. So this next clip will be tomorrow morning. Okay, it's the next day, and now we're going to put on this thermostat housing. Let me run you through the directions, the OE directions on how to replace this thermostat housing. The very first thing it says to do is drain the cooling system. The second thing, remove the air cleaner outlet duct. And the third thing, remove the engine coolant temperature sensor. And here is a picture of that. I think that's the engine coolant temperature sensor right there. And we remove this pipe here. So let's get into it. These just pop out in rubber grommets. You just loosen this screw and this pops off. It's So this is the actual housing we're trying to take off because it's leaking right there. If you look at these hoses right here, they look like they're kind of in the way. I don't see nothing in service data that says to remove those. I'm going to remove this hose. It's a coolant hose, and then this is a PVC hose. I'm not quite sure. It goes, looks like over to the turbo, but I'm going to move both of these hoses out of the way so we'll have clarity of what we're working on. That thing was really hard to get off. I had to stick a pick here and on the other side and pry it up. Be careful, this little hose is thin. You do not want to break that. Okay, we finally made it down to the temperature sensor, which is right here. Let's take it off, and then we'll undo this clip and take the radiator hose off. I have a catch pan underneath to catch all the coolant that's going to fly out, so make sure you have one. Sometimes I'll spray these clips down a little bit with some WD-40 or some silicone. That will help them come loose. Now we need to take this clip out. Really, you just pull it back. I don't want to get antifreeze on that belt, so I'm going to put a pad on this belt right here. It's kind of a absorbent pad. If you get coolant on a belt, you got to get it off quick because it will make the belt chirp and squeak. Then you got a new issue that the customer may not be happy with. Here's the new part, and it sits in there just like this. So there's a hose on this side. This is the one we just clipped off. This is the actual gasket that's leaking. I don't know if you could see that. It won't focus. Well, it's a inverted torque number 10. That's the size you need to get the screws out. I think it'd be easier to take this out and then get the hose clamp. There's a clamp on a hose right down in there. We'll be able to see it better once we pull it out a little bit. Here's the gasket. Oh, right there's our failure. It's pinched. I finally got it off. I had to move the camera. Okay, I'll clean up the gasket area. These green emery cloths work good. All right, guys, I'm not going to record the install just for the simple fact I know you guys are smart and you all can do this. It's basically what we did in reverse. Just put your 3 bolts in, make sure your clamp's tight on your bottom hose, pop it all back together. Okay, I got it all back together. Just make sure you put all your clips back in their proper place. Put your air filter on, engine air filter, and now I'm going to fill it with antifreeze, and we're going to start it up, and we'll see how she does. What this is I'm vacuum filling the system. This is really good to do to get all the air pockets out, and then you suck the coolant up through a hose. When I turn, so it's holding a vacuum now, and we know there's no leaks because the needle is staying steady. And when I turn this knob, it's going to suck the antifreeze in. Okay, the needle has stopped moving for about 5 minutes. All the air is out of the system. I'm going to disconnect it. Okay. Letting it warm up. Doing good so far. No leaks. I'm going to let it sit here and run a minute. Let it get up to temperature. Almost forgot, we got to check. The main complaint is to see if the heater works and the AC works. Well, I know the heater works. I can feel it. Let's go ahead and check the AC. Just heard the AC compressor kick on. Give it a minute, see if it gets cold. Okay, so the AC is not working. I think it's low on refrigerant. So I hooked up my machine and we're pulling out the old and we'll see how much was in it. Gas recovered, 0.10 of a pound.
So it's low on 134A. I'm going to go ahead and fill it up, shoot some dye in it. That way, if there is a leak, we'll find it later on. Okay, I just filled it with AC, 134A. We got to start it up and see how it's doing. Oh yeah, it's nice and cold. All right, so now we got heat and AC. Okay, we're back in the car. I decided to take it on a little test drive. We got everything done. The only thing I decided not to do was the valve cover gasket, because when I took the valve cover off, I noticed that it's not leaking around the valve cover gasket into the spark plug wells. It's where the tubes are pressed on in the head. They'd have to get a new head to fix that. So I'm going to take it for a ride. The customer complaint again was no heat, no AC. And when they started up after filling the gas up, it ran extremely rough. Well, the purge valve was hanging wide open. So we fixed all three of those, and let's go on a test drive. All right, here we go. I work right next to a car lot. Look at all these cars. They're all over the place. Never run out of work. That's good, right? All right, I'm going to drive it for a few minutes. And when we get back to the shop, we'll just check to make sure there's no leaks real quick. I know we need to talk to the customer a little bit. A couple things changed. I have to talk to him about the AC. I had to end up charging the AC system up. So I need to add that to the bill, but I did not put a valve cover gasket on it, like I explained earlier. Spark plug wells was full of oil, as you can see. When I looked at the design of the valve cover gasket, I could tell it's not coming from that area. I've seen this before on the 3.6s that GM makes. Their notorious 3.6 piece of junk engine. Don't ever get a 3.6. Run from it. They got major issues. The spark plug wells being filled full of oil, it's where they press into the head, they'll leak right around there, the actual tube around that seal area. There's really no way to fix that. I couldn't find anything on YouTube about that. I never could, but I actually think I run across some information on a technical service bulletin, and I don't know what it was that explained that problem. If it leaks really, really slow, you can probably just clean them out every other oil change, clean out the spark plug wells. That's probably what I'll suggest. I mean, this car only has like 80,000 miles. It's a nice car, but let's get back to the shop. Everything seems like it's running fine. I'll quit talking and we'll check for leaks, and that'll be it. All right, we're back at the shop. Okay, there's no drips at the bottom underneath. No drips. And since I had the valve cover off, it's always a good practice to take a mirror and just kind of go and look, see if you see anything. I'm going to have to set the camera down and get a better look, but you get the idea. Well, guys, I really appreciate y'all watching. I really do. I'm trying to build my channel. I'm trying to get this editing to where it's easier to understand. So if you've made it this far, thank you so much. I'm going to try my best to give you videos that's going to help you out. And that's really all I want to do, is something to help someone else out, and I enjoy doing it. So anyway, enough of that. I got more to come, and thanks for watching, and hit a thumbs up or subscribe if you really liked it, and check out some of my other videos. I got some on all kinds of stuff. I don't have hundreds of them yet, but I will here soon. Thank you. See y'all later.